You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, just a few months ago, the leadership was accusing President Trump of exaggerating that there was a crisis on the border. In fact, majority at that time, Minority Leader Schumer stated that this president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil of the administration. And it's shocking to me that it has taken this long for my colleagues to finally address that there is a crisis. In 2019, we've had more than 593,000 illegal aliens apprehended at our southern border. From October 2018 to May of 2019, we've had 23,944 unaccompanied alien children attempt to cross the border. I'm glad that we finally realized that the situation that we're in and that we can now move forward and look for solutions. It's not time for political games. It's time to act swiftly to get this crisis in hand. Mr. Fitiello, how long is a typical trip from the Northern Triangle to the southern border of the United States? How long does it take?
It could be weeks that people travel through Mexico.
Approximately how many children will arrive at a facility on a given day?
Well, the data that I saw most recently in the press was that two-thirds of the groups coming to the border every day, so two-thirds of 2,000.
Are many of the children who arrive in need of medical care? And if so, what are the issues that you're seeing that they have?
No, it's a difficult journey. It's difficult for them to sleep on the journey. They're not fed as well. They're in the hands of smugglers, people that don't care about them as individuals. They care about them as a commodity. And so when they get to the border, they're often very sick. Early days, when I was still in CBP, scabies, lice, respiratory infections, fevers, et cetera. All the things we've heard about here today, that's part and parcel of what comes to the border every day.
So infectious problems.
Correct.
Okay. How many children are treated for the ailments that they have? And are the results from the trip, or are they the results because they're here?
Well, CBP does its best. And when I was still in government, we spent thousands and thousands of hours, millions and millions of dollars taking people from CBP custody into the hospital and safeguard them and bring them back. So there's many, many hours and many, many dollars spent on this particular problem.
Is there soap and water?
There is.
Several news organizations have alleged that pregnant migrant women are not properly cared for once they cross the border. Can you explain how those pregnant migrants are processed and handled? I know you mentioned them.
So if you can imagine a facility that's 400% over capacity, so they could be in custody with CBP for some time before they're interviewed by an agent or an officer. And so the agent and the officer won't know unless they ask, or maybe that individual won't tell them. When they're in detention with in ICE custody, the single adults that do make it into ICE detention, they're quickly assessed medically within the first days of their stay in detention, and part of that assessment is a pregnancy test.
So within a week?
Yes, sooner in most cases.
Can you tell the difference between the testing between ICE and CBP?
Well, CBP doesn't do pregnancy tests. The mission at CBP at the border is to move that individual downstream as quickly as possible. So if it's a family, they get released. If it's a child, then they get referred to HHS as quickly as possible. If they're a single adult, they get referred to ICE for detention.
So you would assess their ability to process as appropriate for the migrants that are pregnant?
No, this is an extraordinary circumstance. There's 500,000 people so far that have come to our border this year.
Okay. In CBP holding facilities and ICE detention facilities, what types of on-site services are provided to the pregnant migrants and their children?
So the ICE detention has the full range of medical care, law libraries, safe and sanitary conditions that's designed for a long-term stay. So everything you would find in a modern facility. At CBP, they've adapted as best as they can, but these locations and these facilities were not designed to hold large numbers of young people or families and children alone.
What resources do you believe would help CBP to do its job effectively, given the number of migrants that are here?
Well, they'll continue to make these modifications. They're going to add floor space to these locations where they're seeing large influxes of children and families. But I don't believe that that's going to get them out of the situation that's being discussed here today. Without a change in the law, these people are going to continue to come to our border in the conditions that they come in.
Thank you.
Gentlelady yields back. Thank you very much. Before I